Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to another segment of the MCR. Max is to my left. My name is TJ. We're on multiple platforms. We're on multiple social media sites to include Truth Social. So wherever you're watching this video, I'd like a big thanks for everyone for your support. A little tongue-tied there. In this segment, I'd like to talk about something that is playing out in our neighbors to the north, Canada. And the reason why I am mentioning this, because in the past we've talked about things in Canada before. There's a lot of similarities in culture. They are a little bit more lenient, liberal than us to the south, and I do have a theory as to why that. But a lot of times what happens in Canada always has a way of seeping south. Okay, and yeah, what they have just done, our opponents on the other side of the aisle most certainly would love to implement here in the States.
I don't doubt it.
And if you haven't guessed by now, it's a gun issue. And just recently, Canada has implemented. They've implemented a law that effectively freezes handgun ownership as of I'll say today. As of today, it is no longer legal to buy, sell, or transfer a handgun in Canada. So in Canada, if you don't own a handgun, you ain't going to. Okay, uh, and Trudeau, he's all proud about that. He's high fiving his cohorts in this.
Yeah.
One of his statements, because I have a couple statements here of his. Fewer guns means safer communities. That's why we're implementing some of the strongest gun control measures.
Yeah, and there's absolutely, let me say this, there's absolutely no evidence to that fact. Chicago, where they have shootings like people buy bread, Washington, D.C., another place where there are mass shootings, New York City, some of the strictest gun laws in the history of mankind, still has shootings. He's a liar, and if those people in Canada believe it, they're idiots, and they deserve what they got coming. And it is coming.
Well, and here's another quote of what he said. Canadians have the right to feel safe in their homes, in their schools, and in their places of worship. You tell that to that pastor that got arrested.
Yeah.
Some months ago, a year ago, when we had our little medical situation play out. You think that pastor felt safe as he was being handcuffed?
Well, the thing that Democrats are best at, or in this case, not Democrats, but leftists, which most Democrats are, at least politician-wise, not the rank and file, if you will, but is that life is worthless to these people. So they would rather virtue signal and have you die than give up their virtue signaling.
Also, with this new law in Canada, you cannot inherit a pistol.
Well, I assume that is part of the transfer because, at least in the state of Michigan, if I were to die, I'd write in my will, I want my guns to go to TJ. There's a process that you have to go through for the transfer of those firearms.
It says in the one news article that I got from the gunblog.ca, when you die, police will confiscate your handguns without confiscation.
Without compensation. You mean?
Yeah, compensation. A little tongue-tied there. Right now, if you currently own one, they're not going, this is where I said confiscate. Right now, if you currently legally own a handgun, they're not going to confiscate it.
Yeah.
But who knows how long that's going to last?
It's not going to, here's what they've done effectively, is that they have limited the number of guns they're going to have to collect. Because in this country, people are buying guns left and right.
Oh, yeah.
As crime rises, which is what Democrats want, they want you to come to them for your protection. Your life isn't worth spit to these people if you don't understand that. And here's what I don't understand about people who vote Democrat. If your life isn't worth spit to these people, what the hell does matter?
And in keeping with the leftist agenda, they're not through with the gun issue. You know, the left is never finished with the gun issue, because there is a bill C-21, and they're using that.
And this is in Canada, story.
This is in Canada, and this involves long guns.
Okay.
So they're not through yet. They are not through. And I at this time I will share what I believe is an accurate theory here. And this actually goes back to when the truckers were protesting in was it Toronto or Ontario, during the medical situation, we'll say, when the truckers were protesting, and it was discussed how Trudeau could arbitrarily declare them criminals, and it all went back to the writing of the Canadian Constitution,
which is weak.
And the way I read it and the way I heard it explained to me was, when the Canadian Constitution was written, it was written from the perspective, the mindset that they were already good and loyal British subjects, as opposed to us rebel colonists to the south. You know,
right?
Because when our Constitution was written, it was written from a revolutionary mindset.
Correct.
Whereas in Canada, there really was no revolution. They were loyal British subjects, and they just wanted to govern themselves. So we're going to let them. You know. So because of all that, the Second Amendment wasn't specifically mentioned or stipulated. So
they don't have rights well, they don't have a Bill of Rights.
Yeah, exactly.
What's in our Bill of Rights? They don't have in Canada.
From their perspective, a Bill of Rights was never needed.
Right.
Because they were already loyal British subjects.
And whatever the Crown said was fine.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'd like to know where the evidence for that was.
I guess that's what happens when you don't revolt.
Yeah.
You know. So that's and my concern is our progressive opponents, our leftist opponents here in the States, are looking to the north and salivating, and therein lies my concern.
Well,
okay?
I for one will use my gun before I give it up.
Well, that's all I have for this segment. Any final thoughts?
No, it's just Canadians. I'm going to rant a little bit. You know, as you may or may not know, my brother and I are into genealogy, and we know that our paternal grandparents were Canadian, both born in Canada and later became American citizens. But in my trips to Canada doing family research, he and I both have gone there. Canadians are arrogant as hell, and people hate nationalism. You can't drive a block in that country without seeing a maple leaf on something.
Wow.
So they're very nationalistic. They feel superior to Americans. So it's in that, whatever we do, they're going to do the opposite.
Well, because they're not Johnny Rebel.
They're taking the high road.
Yes.
See where the hell that high road takes you. Straight to hell, I imagine.
Yes. Okay, that's all we got for this one. See you in the next segment. Thanks, everyone, for your support. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.